This submission is a deep dive video essay exploring a specific content creator's post-cancellation attempts to salvage her career while continually failing to evolve past her problematic child-centric origin. And honestly, the analytical eye and vocabulary here are exceptionally strong. So let's instantly pivot to the first area for constructive feedback to really honor the desire for immediate, actionable growth.
Yeah, the research here is already remarkably deep. I mean, by shifting our focus to the architecture of how that research is presented, we can take a piece that is already quite strong and turn it into something genuinely definitive.
Absolutely. So looking at the structure, the material covers a really wide timeline from 2023 to 2026. As I understand it from the notes, the argument here is that walking through the subject's career month by month demonstrates the sustained nature of the downfall. But let me push back for a second. Doesn't a chronological timeline build a natural sense of suspense, much like a traditional true crime or documentary narrative?
I get that. But the chronological recounting of events sometimes obscures the essay's most compelling overarching arguments. The weakness we're looking at is that, well, the script just gets bogged down in a rigid play-by-play.
Right. Like tracking individual view counts in January 2024, followed by a vlog in May 2024.
Exact. And then snark form reactions in October 2024. It really dilutes the powerful central thesis. The audience just loses the forest of the creator's behavioral loop because they are staring at the trees of individual upload dates.
Yeah, you're basically giving them a spreadsheet of symptoms when they came to understand the underlying disease.
Right, exactly. So the suggestion here is to restructure the middle of the essay to be entirely thematic rather than strictly chronological. We need to liberate your evidence from the confines of the calendar.
Liberate the evidence. I like that.
Yeah, because instead of moving from the Taylor Swift reaction video to the high school visit just because they happened sequentially, you can group them under a distinct thematic chapter.
Oh, so something like the futile search for external validation.
Yes, exactly. Because both the attempt to ride the Eras Tour algorithm and co-opting her husband's high school honor, they're symptoms of the exact same pathology.
Right. A desperate hunger for an audience that doesn't exist anymore.
Totally. And similarly, you can group the sewing of old Miranda merch and the alarming toddler-infused song under a chapter titled The Inability to Abandon Child-Centric Space.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes so much sense because pairing the dressmaking with the song bypasses the chronological gap entirely.
Exactly. It turns a timeline of events into a really compelling psychological profile. You're actively driving the thesis forward by slamming these two identical behaviors together.
It makes the critique feel relentless. So moving on to pacing, let's look closely at the section discussing the Paradise Paws sponsorship integration. Because, this ties directly into our discussion of flow.
Yeah, sponsorships are tricky.
They are. It feels a bit like watching a tense psychological thriller, only for the protagonist to turn to the camera and excitedly pitch a line of cozy sweaters. How do we balance commercial necessity with editorial tone?
Well, the abrupt placement of the sponsored segment aggressively breaks the gripping analytical tension established in the opening. I mean, the core weakness is the severe tonal whiplash occurring early in the piece.
Right, because right after establishing this incredibly heavy premise, grooming allegations, inappropriate power dynamics, a catastrophic PR response.
Yeah, the script violently pivots to a bubbly, extensive ad about rescuing adorable animals in pajamas. It just completely undercuts the seriousness and authority of the critique right as the audience is getting invested.
It's like functionally resetting the viewer's cognitive engagement.
Exactly. And rebuilding that critical engagement takes time. So the suggestion is to reposition the ad read to a natural thematic break later in the piece and write a transitional bridge that connects the essay's overarching themes to the sponsor.
Okay, so move the sponsorship to the midpoint, maybe right before the section detailing the Colleen Ballinger loop?
Yes, perfect. By that point, the audience is locked in, you've earned the interruption, and to make it seamless, you use a thematic transition.
Right, so borrowing the vocabulary of the essay itself.
Yeah. For a concrete example, you could write something like, while this creator is desperately trying to rewrite her own lore and manufacture a cozy family mystery, let me tell you about a game that actually handles mystery and lore well.
Oh, that is so good. It keeps the audience in the analytical mindset even during the ad.
Right. It rewards the viewer for not skipping the ad because they're still getting your commentary intertwined with the marketing.
You're bending the ad to fit the parameters of your essay. I love that. So, A key theme running through this material seems to be the brilliant conclusion regarding the subject's fundamental unremarkability.
It really is a great conclusion.
It's beautifully written, but let me challenge you on this. Is there value in saving the biggest intellectual punch for the very end, treating it as a twist ending for the audience? So it's treated as a destination rather than a lens.
Exactly. The weakness here is that the audience spends 80% of the essay wading through internet drama without a high-level analytical lens. The revelation that our downfall is less about an explosive cancellation and more about the slow decay of an unevolved, mediocre talent is just buried at the finish line.
Yeah, you're basically handing the audience a pile of raw lumber and only showing them the blueprint after they've built the house.
Exactly. Without that blueprint, viewers just take the information at face value. So the suggestion is to invert the structural reveal by front-loading this thesis in the introduction,
Allowing it to act as the primary lens through which they view all the subsequent evidence.
Right. As a concrete example, immediately after mentioning the infamous ukulele incident in the introduction, explicitly state your destination.
But the real tragedy isn't the cancellation. It's the desperate flailing of a creator who never possessed the talent to evolve.
Yes, exactly. Setting that flag in the ground minute one fundamentally changes the gravity of the entire piece.
And then, I guess later on, when discussing the low-selling Pity Party tour or the bizarre Taylor Swift tears, you just remind the audience.
Yep. You remind them, this isn't just a canceled creator getting low views. This is what unremarkability looks like when the algorithm turns away.
Man, that really elevates the entire piece from a drama recap to a high-level cultural critique from minute one. It respects the audience's intelligence.
When an audience knows what you're trying to prove, they'll stick around to see exactly how you prove it.
Definitely. All right, to briefly recap our holistic review today, the material is incredibly strong and deeply researched, but its impact can be maximized by implementing a few high-level structural shifts.
For sure.
First, reorganize the chronological timeline into thematic chapters to highlight the creator's behavioral loops.
Right. And second, reposition and thematically bridge the sponsored segment to prevent that tonal whiplash.
And finally, front-load the brilliant unremarkability thesis into the introduction to frame the entire critique. We warmly invite you to apply these structural edits and submit your revised work back in for another round of feedback. We would really love to see how this evolves.